All
Yep.
right. Well, Butler County's really in your backyard, so it wasn't too much of a
Butler
stretch.
County is in my backyard. I have a lot of experience time in Butler County. One of my jobs, I was a fleet manager up there.
Okay. All right. How long were you planning on going to the Trump rally? Was it last minute or were you planning it for
No,
weeks?
no, no. Let me give you some background. I'm
Okay.
a Republican committee man, chairman of Pittsburgh District 7. I had been planning on going to the rally from the first day I heard about it. I was given the expedited line so I could get in the front rows. And I was given two positions, two seats. So I took my 12-year-old grandson with me.
You
If
were
you'd like
right
me
in
to
the
just
front.
continue and tell you the whole story, I'd be happy to.
Tell me the whole story. I want to hear this.
Okay, here's the whole story. My grandson and I arrive about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're just excited. My 12-year-old grandson is very interested in events, which pleases Grandpa because I'm politically active. We're having a wonderful day. We're just getting along with everybody. We're in the expedited line, and we're in cattle chutes. So I'm probably 15 people back from security. And the level of security to the eyesight is unbelievable. There are Secret Service people everywhere. Homeland Security, state police, local police, fire department, paramedics, snipers. If I didn't notice 20 snipers setting up inside the compound, I didn't notice one. But there's four in particular that I'm going to talk about here today. 12 o'clock-ish, they let us in. They march us down to where we're being seated. It's a V shape to the podium, to the stage. There's 2,000 seats. We're blessed. We got in the first four rows. I'm in the fourth row back on the end. Have pictures of my grandson standing in front of the stage just to show people how close we were. We were so excited. And between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, they bring in all the local politicians to do their stuff. And it's 92 degrees. I mean, it is unbelievably hot.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
dedicated.
yeah. One thing that they did really well, and I was told by one of the volunteers that they brought in 47,000 bottles of water, and they were giving water out by the cases, which was really good because we needed it. Um, like I said, unbelievably hot. Okay, so that goes, and we're watching as the compound starts to fill up with people. I mean, as far as the eyes can see, they estimated the crowd at 35,000. Um, this is where I seen security starting to fall apart. Um, we were in the walk to seating section. They walked us down there. Well, whenever the crowd started coming in, the people started filling up the walkways to the point that if you needed to go to the bathroom or if you needed to go get something to drink, it was almost impossible because you couldn't walk. The walkways were full of people. It scared me. I mean, I thought the fire marshal should have done something about that at the very least. Well, that didn't happen. Um, there was a situation where a gentleman in front of me had gotten very upset because of people standing in front of him. It got to a pushing match. Secret Service escorted two people out at that point, and the rest of them stayed there, which again surprises the hell out of me. So, like I said, all the local politicians start talking. You can sense that Trump had arrived because the atmosphere started being USA, USA. Uh, Beautiful flag behind him, probably 30 foot by 60 foot. Pre Trump, the wind had flipped it over, and the crowd screaming, "Fix the flag, fix the flag." And the cranes lowered the flag and they fixed it just in time for Trump to come out. Something very strange happened at this moment. We noticed the snipers getting up on the roofs of the buildings behind Donald Trump. Directly behind the stage, there's two barns, one to the right, one to the left, probably 100 yards behind the podium, and probably 150 yards apart. Teams of two snipers get up on the roofs. I know a lot about firearms, so I started really to watch them, and you can see them doing all their, they call it dope, description of previous engagements. You can see them doing their wind studies and setting up their guns and looking through their binoculars. Right before Trump's ready to get on stage, we noticed a team on which would have been on Trump's right, looking towards the right hand side of the compound. The farm show is bordered by businesses. In this particular case, this company, this glass company. We're hearing people hollering. There's a shooter on the roof. There's a shooter on the roof.
You heard that part?
Yes, I did.
It's
Now,
all over Twitter. The people.
that's the part that scares everybody.
Okay.
At that time, we understand that the snipers on the roof turned and started to watch that location. You can see them with their binoculars looking. One gets down on his scope, picks his head up off the scope. Now, I didn't see this part, but the news is releasing the story now. People actually videoed Matthew Crooks climb up on the roof. They actually have video footage of him climbing up and bear crawling up the side of the roof. Whenever a local police deputy, I'm betting it was a sheriff because they called him a deputy, climbed up the ladder and retreated. He got down off the ladder. Well, that's when the shots rang out. Like I said, Trump was maybe at this point 15 feet, 20 feet away from me. I actually seen the guy get shot in the stands. Excuse me for breaking up. Corey Competor, who threw his life in front of his family. I watched him get hit. Trump stands up, surrounded by his Secret Service people, and pumps his fist so the crowds relieved. Trump's okay. Again, the chant USA starts to go on. And it was so loud that it actually sent a chill up my spine. At this point here, my grandson, 12 years old, turns to me and forgive me.
So it's all right.
He turns to me and says, Bubba, you okay? And I think that moment changed my life. Here's this kid worried about me. I should have been worried about him. But anyways, Trump's exiting the stage. He's doing the fist pump. The crowd's loving it. We all know Trump's okay. He gets in his car and he goes away. Let's talk about the shots. What we heard was boop, 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 bip, bip, bip. Now I'm figuring what it was 3 or 4 shots from the shooter, and then the couple of shots from the sniper team on the roof that took him out. But I'm telling you, we observed the snipers on the roof, watching with their binoculars in that direction. Now, remember, the snipers are responsible for 1,000 yards. This guy was 130 yards away. They may have been looking over top of him. I can't speak for what they were seeing. But when he got on his gun and he looked through his sights, it was 40 seconds. They waited for the shooter to shoot before they shot him. Now, was he given the green light to go? Was he told not to shoot until we don't know this part? I hope this comes out in facts. But there's no doubt in my mind that they knew the shooter was there because the people were screaming it for 3 minutes. The one person that was interviewed that was screaming at the sheriffs and the local police. It's my understanding that the Secret Service was responsible for inside the compound, and the local state police and sheriffs and police department were responsible for outside the compound. Nothing separated the two. You could walk to this building from the compound. Like I said, they're screaming, shooter, shooter, taking video footage of him climbing up on the roof. There's no doubt in my mind that there was a good 3 minutes before any shots had taken place. The thing that bothers me the very most, and I'm observant as hell. I don't know, maybe I'm not normal when it comes to this, but when it comes to security, I'm really on. I got to tell you the story. There was a dragonfly flying around us in our group in the front. And I kept saying, wouldn't it be funny if that was a drone? But at that time, it was obvious it was just a dragonfly, but it was also obvious that there were no drones in the sky. So do I think the ball was dropped? Well, anybody that knows anything about tactics knows that if you want to pull a shot off, you got to be on the high ground, like where the snipers were on the roof behind Trump. There was a clear line of sight between Matthew Crooks and the podium. He was on top of a roof with a clear line of sight. It's obvious to me that the advance team from the Secret Service had to see that. They had to know about it. There's so many questions. Why wasn't there a state trooper on that roof? Why? I mean,
I have a question. I mean, it
Right.
seems like at this point, whose job is it to check the roof? The FBI, Secret Service, local law enforcement? Nobody checks the
according
roof.
according to what I was told, outside of the compound was the job of state police, local police. But like I said, there was no visible barrier, no fence, no wall separating the two. Um, I find it really hard to swallow the fact that the advance team didn't catch this, and at the very least, park a tractor trailer, hang a flag to stop that line of sight. Because one of the books of wars, Tung Tzu, Art of War, they teach you in that book to get on the high ground for a reason. Well, this shooter had a clear line of sight from the roof where he was to the podium. But now starts all the questions. I've talked to people that had to walk for 2 miles because of parking. This guy, within 150 yards, drives his van into a location where there's warehouses, gets out of his van. The question now is, did he bring the ladder with him or was the ladder there? Climbs up the ladder with his AR-15 and belly crawls across the roof. Whenever people had to park their cars 2 miles away and walk to the rally. I mean, there's just, how did he get into that compound? Now, I didn't see him on the roof because I wasn't in a position to see him, but I heard the people screaming. My observations, what I'm telling you is both Secret Service, and I'm blaming Secret Service the most, they should have had drones in the sky. Coordination between Secret Service and local police. Somebody should have been on that building or in that compound. I mean, how did he get his van that close and park it whenever people had to walk for 2 miles to get to the rally? Horrible day, horrible day.
Now, I have to
It's going to
ask
change
you,
me forever.
I would bet we came within centimeters of being in an entirely different country today.
I seen good and evil that day. I think God, and forgive me, I'm not going to be one of those God-fearing people that tell you stories about the Bible. I'm not going to do that. But I believe. I think God spared Donald Trump that day. But they took that gentleman and he saved his family. I mean, he was 50 years old. He threw himself in front of his family. When those shots were fired, the bullets had to go somewhere. Trump was on an elevated platform at the podium, and the bleachers to his left were also elevated. The guy that got shot was in the top row of the bleachers. There were bleachers to his right and bleachers to his left. The bullets passed over the bleachers to his right. The bullets passed over all of us sitting in the middle and hit people and equipment to Trump's left. There was a hydraulic line that was hit on a crane. There was a cable that was hit that was holding speaker columns. The 3 people shot, the 1 fatality and 2 critical that are now stable. The bullets had to go somewhere, and they find victims in the stands. That's the evil that I'm talking about.
Do you think incompetence got someone killed?
I'm saying it outright. I'm not hesitating saying it whatsoever. I think the advance team for the Secret Service should have acknowledged that line of sight and taken care of it.
Now, you heard people saying there was a shooter. What was your reaction when you were hearing this?
Everybody at that point there was just looking in that direction. But when the shots rang out, from the time where they were hollering until we actually knew what was going on, There was a big water tower there too. So we were looking at the water tower, not at the building. But by that time, you're talking 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And then once we seen the snipers get on target, as I seen it, it was 40 seconds. And we heard the shooter, I believe we heard the shooter shoot first. And then we heard the Secret Service snipers shoot him and take him out.
So in these seconds, people are saying there's a shooter, you're looking around. When you heard the gunshots, were you surprised? Or were you almost
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've been very involved with firearms all of my life. The first 3 shots I thought were fireworks. The second 3 shots, I started to think about what I needed to do for my grandson. Because by that time, what was really surprising was the reaction of the crowd. If they wanted to scatter, they wouldn't have been able to. Everybody stayed in their place. The people in front of Trump hunkered down. But there were a lot of us that were still standing, and I'm one of those guilty people. I was more concerned about the safety of my grandson. I gladly would have sacrificed myself for him. But when you go to something like that, there's an expectation of safety. I mean, I got to share this with you. 92-degree day in an open field. I bring suntan lotion with me. When I get to the metal detector, I'm not allowed to bring my suntan lotion into the compound because it was aerosol. The level of security to me was unbelievable. They made me give my suntan lotion away to the people behind me. There were chairs left outside the compound. You weren't allowed to bring chairs in. You weren't allowed to bring coolers in. You got in with clear bottles of water, but there was no need to because water was provided. They made me take the change out of my pocket because it was setting off the machine. I have metal knees. The guy wanted me after going through the machine to prove that in my shorts all I had was some change. So I felt secure. I truly did. Until I noticed the volunteers lost control of the crowd. And it was volunteers that were in control of seating. I was shocked. I was shocked that they allowed people to stand in front of the stage.
Here's what I want to ask you about. We're seeing what happened. I'm not saying I was surprised. I was just, nobody panicked or stampeded or caused.
It happened too fast.
Okay.
People didn't have time to. By the time the shots were over and Secret Service swarmed Donald Trump, we're talking less than a minute before he was back on his feet, pumping his fist. And when he started pumping his fist, everybody was relieved because they didn't know about the fatalities in the bleachers to my right. Everybody was so concentrating on Donald. What he did that day by pumping his fist was assuring everybody in the audience that it was a miss. You could see that the side of his head was bleeding. You could see that it was a superficial wound because the blood hadn't gotten down to his shirt. Secret Service did a great job of swarming him. I mean, they really did, but they swarmed him after the fact. I mean, did they know about the shooter on the roof? I'm telling you, local police, according to the news now, they show the ladder and the stories being told about the deputy. So I'm calling him a sheriff. Climbed the ladder and retreated before the shooter shot his rounds. That part to me is the unbelievable part. He should have climbed that ladder weapon first.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard as well. And then he saw him retreated because he didn't have a weapon drawn. I don't know. Do you think we're ever going to get answers to this? Of course, there's going to be an investigation, and
I hope it doesn't turn into the grassy knoll all over again because we don't need another one of them. This is plain and simple. This 20-year-old without military training outflanked the Secret Service, the state police, and the local police. I find that so very hard to believe. But it's true. That's what happened.
now you know a lot about firearms. Of course, you
Yes, I
thought
do.
it was fireworks when it first went off, but when you listen to it again, before the news came out, what kind of gun it was. Were you?
I'm telling you, my original thoughts were it was small arms and it was inside the crowd. But when I'm hearing them people hollering shooter, the 223 is a small caliber rifle. Can you mistake it for a 9mm or a 45? It, it wasn't a large caliber gun that was being shot. Um, but in order for it to have hit Donald Trump in his right ear at the height that he was standing, the shot had to come over top of the bleachers to his right. So it was obvious that the shots were being fired from outside of the people. So instantly, to me, after the shots were fired, I knew it wasn't something internal. There wasn't somebody that had a handgun.
Okay. Wow. This is
Changed
amazing.
my life. Things won't be the same.
How do you think things are changing for you?
I put my grandson in harm's way. My grandson says to me, traffic was horrible trying to get out of there. And my grandson says to me during I figured I needed to talk to him, but he showed me wisdom way beyond his years. He says, Bubba, if there's ever another rally, I want to come with you. And all I could say to him was, I will do everything I can for you. I bought him hats, I bought him t-shirts. I did everything I could to make this day wonderful because he's the future. I mean, do I see him following in my footsteps? I sure hope one of my grandchildren do. It's changed me. It really has. I think I'm going to be more emotional now in my thoughts than thinking with my brain and heart. Going to be different.
It's that is a life-changing experience, really. I mean, you were at what's, you know, an
The bullets
historic
passed
event.
over my head.
And
And
so
it took me till Sunday morning to finally break. I took him home to his mom, my daughter, and he and I talked about this getting there. I said, "Your mom's going to be his mom's got a degree in sociology and a master's in psychology." I said, "Your mom's going to be horrible about this, D." His name's Derek. I said, "Derek, the first thing you say to your mom is, Sarah, I'm okay." His mom's name Sarah, my daughter Sarah. And when we got out of the truck, his mom came out of the door and met us in the front yard. And Derek looks at her and says, Mom, I'm okay. And to my surprise, I called him Sunday morning, and he was doing much better than I was. I was trash Sunday morning. I cried. And I don't know if you can sense it or not. I've been a bulldog all my life. I cried. I think it's over the fact that that gentleman throwing his life to save his family. I think that's the part that got me.
this is heavy. This is going to take a while to process. I don't even.
I think they could have stopped it. I think, let's be honest. In the world of shooting, 130 yards is a chip shot. I've been a hunter all my life. I've been to long range rifle school. I've shot 1,000-yard targets. 130 yards. And forgive me for going off on this tangent. I could have shot the rifle right out of his hand. So why did they allow him in that time period? I know 40 seconds doesn't seem to be a lot, but when you think about how many shots a gentleman using a bolt action rifle I can get off a half a dozen rounds in 40 seconds. I mean, I feel the snipers were on target for at least 40 seconds.
Now I have to ask you this. I mean, it's an opinion-based question, of course, but you know a lot about firearms and security. I've heard some people saying online that Trump should just hire his own private security detail from here on out.
Well, here's the twist that I'm sure you haven't heard about.
Right.
A week before the Trump rally, Jill Biden announced that she was coming to do Pittsburgh Saturday night. So they had to divert Secret Service from the Trump rally to the Jill Biden event.
I did
Was
hear.
that a factor? Would those agents that would have been at the Jill Biden thing, they have been at the Trump rally if Jill Biden didn't come to town that day? Would there have been more? I'm going to tell you what I observed and I watched. The truckloads, the busloads of Homeland Security, of Secret Service, of state police, of local police, fire rescue, paramedics. I felt there was more than enough on site for what was taking place. I really did. What I'm thinking the problem was they didn't prepare properly. The advance team didn't. There weren't many buildings outside of the compound. I mean, for them not to have 35,000 people, at the very least, what are we talking about? 25,000 vehicles? And this guy was able to drive his van into a location 150 yards away, get out of it. Did he bring his own ladder? Was the ladder there? Climb up a ladder, crawl across a roof without being seen? No, he was seen. They missed the ball. They missed the ball. Somebody, was the advance team that missed the ball? Was it the Secret Service on the ground that missed the ball? Was it the state police that missed the ball? I guarantee you one thing for sure. I expected a level of security that I was not given.
What do you think about security coming up at the Republican National Convention?
Funny you should ask. I was a part of a group that ran to be delegates. I'm very active when it comes to the Republican Party here in the Allegheny County. We ran 5 people that all got elected to be delegates at the convention. And what I'm hearing from them, there's a lot of security in place. But you know as well as I do, I mean, we're obviously not teenagers anymore. We've seen a lot of riots at the conventions. I pray to God that my friends are safe, because what I know of conventions in the past, well, here comes that God thing again. No, I've been talking to God a lot lately. Uncommon for me because I've had a hard life. What I see on TV, they seem to be doing a good job, but I also thought they were doing a good job in Butler, PA. And obvious to me now that it's after the fact. I mean, I feel like one of those Monday morning quarterbacks here. Would I have done things different? I know if I was in that advance team, I would have addressed that building if it was me.
Well, my free meeting ends in about 9 minutes. This is fascinating. I'm just so glad you're sharing your story with us.
It has to be shared.
It does. It does.
It does. It does. And I don't know whether you noticed, it's very hard for me.
Everybody's always going to remember where they were on July 13th when they heard the news, but you were right there on July 13th.
Rose back 15 feet away.
Yeah.
And I was proud of it. I had my grandson with me. I couldn't have been happier. I was sharing it with somebody that I love. Well, if I had to do it over again, I probably would have brought somebody I didn't like.
But you can't blame yourself.
I'm not going to. I'm just going to be the best grandfather I can be.
Sounds like you're a great, wonderful grandfather.
I think I'm the best grandfather there's ever been.
I think you are. Me too. Now, I have a question. Did you take any pictures or videos of the rally you can share with us?
Cool. Got lots of them.
If you want to email me some of that.
Send me your email address. I'll send you everything I have.
Wow. That would be amazing. This is
sure happy to. Matter of fact, I got a picture of Donald Trump. It looks like, well, like I said, he was 15 feet away. Right
when you saw him duck, were you worried?
By that point there, we knew it were shots. And my concern at that point was more to my grandson than worry. I mean, there wasn't time to worry. At that point, their muscle memory has to kick in. And my first reaction was to make sure my grandson was okay. Um, I was relieved whenever Donald Trump stood up and pumped his fist. I was relieved when my grandson, when he asked me if I was okay. Because at that point there, I knew he was okay.
That's a good boy. It's a good kid.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be a good boy. He has his sights on going to West Point at 12 years of age. What more could a grandfather ask for? That's why he was here with me and not the other three.
That's amazing.
Send me your email address. I'll be happy to forward you. As a matter of fact, I was forwarded a bunch of pictures and videos from another person who was up front with me also. I'll forward all that to you.
That would be incredible. Thank you.
Sure, happy to.
And I'm gonna send you a copy of the story. People are gonna be happy to hear it.
Tears off my eyes here.
I don't blame you. It's a lot to process. Just God bless you for being there and doing what you do.
If there's another rally tomorrow, I will be there and I will take my grandson with me.